All this time you've been helping her and killing the attraction, holding her hand through emotional breakdowns, offering rides, covering her bills, being her rock. You thought you were building loyalty? What you were actually doing was sedating her instinct, dulling the edge of her desire, emasculating yourself one can I help you with that at a time. And she felt it. Not consciously, but in that primal place where women sniff weakness like blood in water. The truth is brutal. You can't earn her desire by being useful. You trigger it by being out of reach, dangerous, unstable in just the right way. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to stop offering help and start triggering her need to compete for your attention, your time, your approval. She doesn't want the helper. She wants the man other women want to chase. You need to understand the animal you're dealing with. Women aren't designed to be impressed by charity. They're wired to obsess over scarcity. If you're too available, too supportive, too generous, she categorizes you instantly. Safe, predictable, boring. She might say you're amazing. She might even cry on your shoulder. But she won't chase you. She won't think about you when the room goes dark. Because she knows where you are. She knows what you'll say. And worst of all, she knows you'll help. There's no tension in that. No risk. No chemical spike in her bloodstream. But when you stop offering yourself like a free sample and start acting like your time is currency, suddenly the game flips. Suddenly she has to prove herself to you. Compete for your gaze. Question her place in your life. And that panic, that's the addiction. That's the hook. That's what she confuses with love. You've been conditioned since childhood to believe that women fall for goodness. They don't. They fall for greatness. And greatness has an edge. It says no. It walks away. It watches from across the room without lifting a finger to help. Not because it's cruel, but because it's magnetically self-contained. If she wants a piece of that energy, she has to fight for it. She has to wonder if you're helping someone else. That's what triggers her competitive instinct, not your kindness, but your absence. I want you to picture a man in a bar. She just sat down beside him, ordered a drink. She smiles. He nods, cool and unbothered, like her presence is incidental. He doesn't ask about her day, doesn't offer to buy her drink. He doesn't even look at her again after the first glance. You can feel her skin start to tingle. She turns slightly toward him. So, are you always this quiet? He just shrugs. Only when I'm thinking. She leans in. Why? Because he didn't try. He didn't perform. He didn't help her climb the social ladder of the moment. He stayed still, grounded, anchored in himself. That lack of effort became a puzzle. And women don't walk away from puzzles. They obsess over them. They compete with other women to solve them. Because a man who doesn't need to impress is a man who's already won something, and she wants to win him. She doesn't want to be helped. She wants to feel chosen. Helping is horizontal. It puts you on the same level as everyone else offering their services. But competition is vertical. It forces her to climb, to question, to feel like your attention is a prize, one that isn't guaranteed. And guess what? She will work for that prize harder than she ever worked for your affection when it was free. They tell you to be supportive, to listen, to be understanding. But the second you make yourself into her therapist, you stop being her fantasy. You think you're being emotionally intelligent? What you're actually doing is removing all polarity, killing all tension. You're becoming a non-sexual being, a friend, an emotional sponge she'll squeeze and toss away when she's ready to get turned on by someone else. The guy she obsesses over doesn't try to fix her. He makes her feel like she's in the presence of something she can't fully grasp. Something untouchable. Something with boundaries. So stop trying to win her over with usefulness. Start triggering her desire to earn a spot beside you. This is how the feminine mind operates. It wants to prove itself to the masculine. Not through logic, but through attention. If she doesn't feel like she's in a game, she'll create one with someone else. And you'll still be there offering help? ChatGPT Janoi. She won't tell you she wants to compete. She can't. It would violate everything she believes about herself. She'll tell you she wants connection, safety, warmth. But the moment you give her those things without effort, she starts to fade. She stops texting first. She delays her replies. She gets busy. That's not a coincidence. That's a nervous system bored to death. She doesn't want comfort. She wants contrast, challenge. She wants to look at you and think, I don't know what he'll do next. I don't even know if he likes me today. That's what makes her spiral. That's what makes her lie awake thinking about you. not your birthday card or your therapy tier compassion. You were taught to seduce like a servant, but she only obsesses over the emperor. The most brutal truth: she'll never beg to stay with a man who offers help. She'll only beg for attention from a man who makes her question her value. Not because she's broken, but because she's wired to be drawn to dominance. Social dominance, psychological confidence, emotional authority. A man who makes her want to be good enough, not one who tells her she already is. You're not supposed to be her coach. You're supposed to be her fixation. And you can't be that while you're holding her emotional grocery bags. Every time you jump in to help, whether it's solving her little drama, validating her insecurity, or over-investing in her moment of need, you're destroying the very tension that triggers attraction. You become her equal, her peer. And attraction doesn't happen between equals, it happens between poles. Masculine presence and feminine chaos, purpose and emotion, the mountain and the storm. When you keep trying to fix her storm, you flatten the whole weather system. She no longer sees you as a force of nature. She sees you as a tool. And tools get used, then replaced. You might still be useful. She'll still say you're a great guy. She might even keep you around until something shakes her gut. A man who doesn't ask, who doesn't offer, who doesn't flinch, the one who makes her feel behind. Behind what? Behind his life. That's the key. She needs to feel like she's catching up to you, like your time is moving faster than hers, like you're already full, already fulfilled. And if she wants in, she better keep up. Helping her puts you behind her, emotionally. It places her struggle as the centerpiece. Her life becomes the main stage, and you become the stagehand. But if your life is the main event, your mission, your direction, your rhythm, then she enters as a dancer trying to match your music. And that's where obsession is born. Not in empathy, in orbit. You want a real exercise? Try silence, not coldness. Not passive aggression. Not manipulation. Just don't fill the space. When she's ranting, I just watch. When she's uncertain, don't jump to reassure. When she asks for help with something that isn't urgent, don't offer. Let her feel the vacuum. Let her reach toward you instead of you always leaning toward her. Watch what happens. Her voice softens. Her gaze lingers. She starts asking you questions instead of dumping hers. Why? Because now you're the mystery. You're not the emotional janitor, you're the architect, and she doesn't know how your walls were built. This doesn't make you cruel, it makes you rare. Because most men are trying to please. You're not here to please, you're here to lead. When she feels that, everything in her body shifts. Her tone, her stance, her urgency. You've gone from emotional sponge to spiritual challenge. And the more you withhold help, the more she begins to fight for your gaze. You want to know why the girl you bent over backwards for disappeared? Why the one you complimented daily, listened to for hours, supported through all her chaos, ghosted you like you never mattered? Because she knew she had you. There was no mountain left to climb, no fear of loss, no feeling that she was in the presence of something powerful, selective, sovereign. You made her feel safe, but you didn't make her feel small. And before you cry foul at that word, understand what I mean. Women don't fall in love with a man who makes them feel equal. They fall in love with a man who makes them feel humbled by his composure, by his mystery, by the sharp sense that he's been through fire and chose not to burn for her. That's not cruelty. That's masculine tension. And women crave it like oxygen. Because deep down, every woman wants a man she has to earn. A man who isn't seduced by emotion, but commands it. Who listens, but doesn't chase. Who feels, but doesn't flinch. And most of all, a man who never, ever offers himself. She has to take you. She has to steal your time. She has to win your interest. Because only then does she believe it's real. Not pity, not obligation, but pure selective desire. Let's get brutal. Every time you offer help to win her affection, you betray yourself. You tell her, I don't believe I'm enough on my own, so let me be useful instead. You become the emotional handyman, the safety net, the nice guy with the secret motive, love me back. Please. And the second she senses it, that needy undercurrent beneath your kindness, her respect dies. Desire only survives where there's friction. She needs to fear losing you, not because you're threatening her, but because she knows. You don't need her. You don't need any woman. You've got somewhere to go. You've got a mind full of battles, a spine full of scars, a soul that doesn't bend to the winds of feminine chaos. And that presence, that unshakable stillness, It drives her insane. She checks your profile, she rereads your messages, she asks herself why you didn't help, why you didn't react, why you didn't say, I'm here for you. And that silence, it grows roots. It multiplies. It eats at her because it forces her to compete, not against other women, but against herself, her old patterns, her old expectations, her comfort zone. She can't play victim around you. She can't pull you in with weakness. So what does she do? She levels up, not for the world, for you, because you, in all your stillness, became the prize. You don't have to insult her. You don't have to manipulate. You don't even have to speak. You just have to be the man whose time is already filled with purpose. Be the man who doesn't flinch at female emotion. Be the man who listens without trying to fix, sees without trying to rescue, stands without trying to follow. And she will chase that presence harder than she ever chased love. Because what she really wants is not help. It's hunger. Hunger to be chosen by a man who doesn't hand himself away. You want to know the twisted part. The more you pull away from helping, the more helpful you become to her evolution. When you stop cushioning her self-doubt, stop solving her little puzzles, stop padding her insecurity with sympathy, she either rises or runs, and both outcomes serve you. If she runs, she was never built for the man you're becoming. If she rises, it's because you created gravity. She felt it in her chest this man won't bend, won't fold, won't apologize for his direction. And that force pulled her up from her excuses. You became her standard, not her savior. And that's what women truly respect, a man whose existence alone demands their growth. Not a man who holds their hand in the dark, but one who keeps walking until they either catch up or disappear. Helping her would have kept her soft. Making her reach for you made her sharp. That's the difference between creating comfort and creating value. The moment you start operating from your own rhythm, you start to radiate something almost supernatural. Women can feel it in their gut. You're no longer looking at her for validation. You're not waiting for approval. You're not playing the good little helper in hopes of some eventual reward. You're not trying. You just are. And that being that quiet, contained, composed masculinity is what haunts her thoughts. It lingers after you leave. It makes her question herself. Why do I want him more when he pulls away? Because you're not helping. You're holding your center. And that creates competition within her. She's now fighting her own psychology, fighting the urge to break pattern, fighting the idea that maybe, for once, she's not the prize. She'll test you. Oh, she'll test you hard. She'll manufacture little crises, subtle bids for sympathy. She'll say, you don't care. She'll go cold, go quiet, try to flip the power. But every test is a riddle in disguise. She's not trying to break you, she's trying to see you, to find out if your presence is real or just another act. And if you flinch, if you go soft, if you rush in to fix, if you plead, she'll never believe in your strength again. Because deep down, she's not testing for kindness. She's testing for certainty. The man who doesn't need to help is the man who's centered enough to watch the storm and stay still. That's the man she gives everything to because he never asked for it. He never needed her validation. He made her earn the intimacy, not through seduction, through self-control. You don't win a woman by lowering yourself into her emotions. You win her by making her rise to meet your direction. You win her by creating conditions where her desire grows from the unknown, not the familiar. The second she can predict you, she forgets you. But if she senses that you're not playing her game, that you don't offer help, don't beg for understanding. Don't soften for praise, you become unforgettable. Because now she's the one offering. Her time, her attention, her body, her vulnerability. And she doesn't offer it lightly. Not to a man who gave her comfort, but to the man who gave her competition.